So we should now be live. So it is the 15th of May, which would have been the GCSE Paper 2 exam. However, sadly, obviously, that's not going to be happening. So what we're going to go through today are the topics in Paper 2. So do it as a quiz and then finish with the fourth round, which is a little bit different to your normal GCSE paper. So on what was it Wednesday we did a paper one challenge, and on there the final round was about emojis. Today it's going to be more logos. So lots of people in the chat already, so nice to see you guys. So let's get ourselves moving. So this is how it's going to look. So there's going to be 4 rounds of 10 questions. After each round, I'll go through the answers. Again, depends on how you want to do it. On Wednesday, lots of people did it on pen and paper and then did the answers at the end. And some people did it in the chat. Either way is absolutely fine. So on that part of the paper, we'll then go through and we will try and take through each bit as we go to then look through each round on different topics. We'll then look at round 4, which is going to be completely different. And we will then continue to move on by giving ourselves the opportunity at the end to give us an idea of what we might be doing. You can't see me yet because on this one it will make it a little bit funny. So where we will continue to go is on each round it will be slightly different, and the rounds are going to look like this. So round 1 is multiple choice, round 2 are going to be short answers, round 3 are images, and you'll see that in the exams, and then round 4 is logos. So let's get ourselves moving. So let's go for round 1. So round 1, which one of these activities is most suited to an introvert? Is it A, association football, B, basketball, C, canoeing, or D, rugby league? So again, if you want to do it in the chat, absolutely fine. If you want to do it on paper, then go from there. So question number 2, which one of these following activities would be best suitable for an ectomorph? Is it A, Olympic weightlifting, B, shot put, C, high jump, or D, canoeing? Question 3, how much fat should a balanced diet contain? Is it A, 15 to 20%, B, 25 to 30%, C, 35 to 40%, or D, 55 to 60%? Question number 4, which one of these is an example of extrinsic motivation? Is it A, personal achievement, B, praise, C, pride, or D, self-satisfaction? Again, just make sure you keep reading through those. Make sure you don't make any silly mistakes. Question number 5 then. So question number 5, which one of these is an example of intrinsic motivation? Is it A, certificate, B, a medal, C, pride, or D, a trophy? Okay, question number 6. Which one of these helps the digestive system to work efficiently? Is it A, protein, B, fiber, C, vitamins, or D, fats? Question number 7. It's going to come up when I click it. Question number 7. Which one of these is an example of a football coach giving feedback in the form of knowledge of results? Is it A, keeping your head down when you shoot? Is it B, that's not good enough? C, you did really well? Or D, you scored a goal? So again, in these sort of questions, you'll see that they'll typically use bold writing to give you an idea that what you need to be talking about. So in this one, give 1, and it says knowledge of results. So again, that's what we need to be looking at. Ooh, a bit of a, looking at the chat from the last question, a little bit of a, bit of debate, I'll say. Fiber or vitamins? We'll see in the answers. Okay, question number 8. Which one of these performance enhancing drugs is taken to reduce heart rate? Is it A, beta blockers? Is it B, diuretics? Is it C, peptide hormones such as EPO? Or is it D, stimulants? So which one of these drugs is taken to reduce heart rate? Which obviously might seem a bit funny, but again, if you understand the question, you'll know why that is. Okay, question number 9. Etiquette is A, written rules which are sometimes enforced, B, the unwritten rules, C, the official rules of an activity, D, specific guidelines for officials. So etiquette is A, B, C, or D. And finally, in this round, question number 10. So question number 10, all of the following would be part of the press media except A, CD-ROMs, B, newspapers, C, magazines, or D, books. So is it A, B, C, or D? Okay, so in the comments, out of 10, let's try and guess how many you think you might have got. Were there any particular questions that were trickier than others? Are there any topics that you think I've not seen that before? Because some of you, I'm sure, are in year 10. Okay, so let's go through the answers to these questions. Okay, so number 1 was C, canoeing. Saw lots of people got that in the chat, so well done to Morgan, well done to Jamie. Number 2 was C, high jump. B was 25 to 30%, which seems quite high, but that's how much fat we need. Number 4 was B, which was praise. C was number 5, pride. Number 6 is fiber, so it's fiber that helps our digestive system. Number 7, you scored a goal, so it was D. Now, the reason it has to be that one, it's the only one that's actually about the outcome. The other ones are about the performance. 8 is beta blockers. So beta blockers are used by people in accuracy type sports like archery and things like that, which are going to then slow your heart rate down so you can be in a position where you're nice and calm. Etiquette is B, the unwritten rules. So, for instance, in football, you kick the ball out, you tend to return it back to that team. There's nothing in the rules saying you have to do that. It's an unwritten rule. And A is CD-ROMs, because the other ones are all in press, as it said. Okay, so let's go through what we've got. So we've got a few 6 out of 10s, we've got 9 out of 10, Stan's got 7 out of 10. Okay, so let's go for round 2. So round 2, again, all the questions are up on the screen because they might need a bit more ingesting from you. So this round is out of 15 marks. So let's see who can get 15 out of 15 and keep working their way through showing all your wonderful knowledge that you've got. Okay, so state 2 possible negative effects of obesity on physical health. So that question is quite key there. It's asking for 2. I'm going to give you 2 marks for each answer, so 1 mark for each answer, so 2 in total. Negative effects of obesity on physical health. Question 2, name 2 stress management techniques that could be used to control arousal. So 2 stress management techniques. Now all you've got to do is name them because that's all it says to do in the command word. Question 3 is define the term performance goals. So in one of the questions earlier, we saw an outcome goal. Define the term performance goals. Question number 4, define arousal. So what do we mean by arousal? I know my year 10s, when we started doing it, found arousal very, very funny, but now they just know the definition. Okay, question number 5, state what is meant by an open skill. So remember, we have skill classifications on 4 different continuums. What do we mean by the term open skill? Question number 6, define the term contract to compete and sportsmanship. Okay, so there's 2 different terms there. So we need 2 different definitions. We need one for contract to compete, and we need another one for sportsmanship. Question number 7, define commercialization. Okay, number 9, what is sponsorship? Again, we've got a definition. You might all have lots of kind of layman's terms, but we need a proper definition. And number 10, give 3 examples of good sportsmanship. There could be millions of examples. You just need to give 3 separate examples here. So just run through those questions again very, very quickly. So state 2 possible negative effects of obesity on physical health. Name 2 stress management techniques that could be used to control arousal. Define the term performance goals. Define arousal. State what is meant by an open skill. Define the terms contract to compete and sportsmanship. Define commercialization. Define gamesmanship. What is sponsorship? And give 3 examples of good sportsmanship. Okay, so just in the chat, guys, are you ready for the answers? Are you ready to go through? Those people who are watching in the past, sorry about this. So just give us a shout, guys, if you are ready to go into the answers so we can then see how you guys have got on. Yeah, thank you, Jamie. Okay, so here we go. So round 2, here's the answers. So state 2 positive negative effects of obesity on physical health. You could say cancer, you could say things like heart disease, heart attacks, diabetes, and high cholesterol. So all of those are health issues or negative effects that obesity can cause on your health. Okay, next one. Name 2 stress management techniques that could be used to control arousal. You can use deep breathing. You see Ronaldo doing that before his free kicks. Mental rehearsal, where you're actually going to practice what you're going to do, and that links to visualization. We've got imagery, and we've got positive self-talk. So those ones about imagery and self-talk, that's how we're going to try and maybe raise our arousal or increase it. When we look at deep breathing and things like that, it's going to then say it's going to lower our arousal, so therefore hopefully slow things our heart rate down. I said hypertension, high blood pressure. Yeah, you'd be right. It would be correct. Okay, so the next ones. Okay, so define the term performance goals. So you could say any of these ones that are in here. So you could say things about personal standards to be achieved, comparing themselves against what they've previously done or already done, suggesting what they're going to do. And the key one is there's no comparison with other people. So a performance goal is all about you and how well you perform that skill. How well did it go? Not how well did the result. So I might have done everything really, really well. The result wasn't quite what I wanted because somebody else did something. It doesn't matter in this. A performance goal is all about what you do. Okay, so define arousal. Okay, so arousal is a skill which is performed with in a certain way to deal with a changeable or unstable environment, e.g. outwitting an opponent. It's a skill which is constantly changing or is affected by the environment. It's a skill that requires adjustment situation. Sorry, that's for open skill. Sorry, define arousal. Arousal is a state of alertness, varying from you being super asleep to being in some sort of frenzy. Sorry, I've made a little error on my PowerPoint there. So we've got 2 on there. Sorry. Okay, next up. We've got define the terms contract to compete and sportsmanship. Now, a lot of you probably won't have heard contract to compete unless you've actually studied it in GCSE PE, because it's not something we really talk about. So contract to compete is an unwritten agreement to follow and abide by the written and unwritten rules. So basically you're signing up for the things. I know if I'm going to go into a boxing ring, I'm going to get punched in the face. I sign up to that. However, if I go and play football and get punched in the face, I wasn't expecting that. It's not on. Therefore, that contract to compete has kind of been broken. Sportsmanship is conforming to the rules, the spirit, the etiquette of a sport. It's about fair play, appropriate or polite kind of behavior. Okay, commercialization. Again, these are only 1-mark questions, remember. Define commercialization: to manage or exploit an organization or activity in a way designed to make profit. Okay, so you could say things like introducing a new product to the market to make a profit, or you could say about sponsorship in the media having some sort of a link. Define gamesmanship. Gamesmanship is about trying to stretch the rules or bend the rules. So, for instance, I might get fouled and I might stay down a bit longer than maybe is necessary. because I'm trying to gain an advantage. I'm not breaking the rules, but it's not really in the spirit of the game. It's a bit dodgy. What is sponsorship? So sponsorship is providing or paying for facilities or clothing or equipment on someone's behalf. So you may be sponsored, so you might get free equipment. You may be sponsored, which means you might actually get money. So it depends on obviously the level that we're playing at. And the final one was give 3 examples of sportsmanship. So basically fair play, not trying to cheat, assisting an opponent. So you could think about, helping them if they've fallen down, shaking hands before or after a competition, accepting decisions, maybe calling a let if you're disputing something in a bracket sport, not time wasting, thanking the officials, kicking the ball out when someone's injured, walking cricket. What that means is if I hit it and I know that I should be out, I'll just walk off. I don't need to wait for the umpire. And admitting a foul in something like snooker. Okay, so that round was out of 15. So in the chat, let's see how many you guys got. So did anybody get 15 out of 15? Okay then, so got 15 out of 15, 10 out of 15, got 15 out of 15. Well done, guys. So definitely more confident on paper 2 than paper 1. That's typical. The grade boundaries in paper 1 are always higher than in paper 2 because a lot of paper 2 things you can use your experience of playing sport, whereas in paper 1 it's a lot of well, it's the sciencey bits, isn't it, really? Okay, so 5 out of 15, but we haven't done much of it yet. I completely agree, Ellie. Okay, so let's go for round 3. So round 3 is all about pictures and diagrams where you're going to have to try and show your knowledge to then just be able to say what it is. So real short response ones again. So here we go. We've got this graph in front. What diagram is represented in this theory? So this diagram represents which theory? So we've got performance, we've got arousal, we've got optimal arousal. What is this diagram? It has a particular name. You've got to try and tell me what it is. Number 2. So number 2, which type of aggression is shown in the picture? So I managed to find a particularly bloody picture from the internet in ice hockey. So which type of aggression is being shown in this picture? Number 3. So label the missing parts of this diagram. So we've got input. We've then got 3 other boxes that then go back to input eventually. So label the missing parts of the diagram. So if you want to call it on your paper, let's say box 1, box 2, box 3, as you go through the diagram, that might be a good way to look at it. You may also want to draw it because it might help you in your revision. So just having a quick look at the chat while we're just waiting for some of you guys to carry on. So we've got 15 out of 15, we've got some 10s, we've got a 6 out of 15, we've got a 10 out of 15. Just asking, why do ice hockey players fight all the time? Actually, in ice hockey, it's because they're able to. So they have certain players called enforcers, and their job is to try and make that physical kind of stature count and push people around. It's legal until they hit the floor, and then they get a sin bin. So yeah. Okay, next one. Armbands are examples of which type of guidance? So I'm sure that you all used armbands when you were little. Hopefully some of you have got away from that now at 15 and 16 years old. So armbands are examples of which type of guidance? Next question then. So this picture shows poor spectator behavior. Okay, it would be better if it was a video, but sadly it's not. So what is this an example of? So this type of poor spectator behavior where there might be some violence going on, try and help you out a bit in that question. What is it an example of? Next question. Okay, so we've got a table here. We've got performance enhancing drugs. We've got 1 positive effect on the performance body. We've got 1 possible negative effect on the performance body. And what we're asking to do here is to complete the table. So we've got anabolic agents. We've got high blood pressure is the negative effect. What we're asking you to do is to complete the table where it says 1 positive effect on the performance body of taking those anabolic agents. Okay, next question about sports technology. So quite an interesting part of the course that seems to not quite get as much as it should in the exams as far as how many questions are set on it. So technology is used in sport. What piece of technology is shown in the picture? So what is the name of the system that is used in tennis there, where we can challenge to see are things in or are things out? It's also used in cricket. Okay, good old James Madison here. So next one is companies will pay to show their logo on a football shirt. What is this an example of? Okay, so not what King Power is an example of, but what is that an example of on James Madison's shirt? So companies will pay to show their logo on football shirts. What is this an example of? So next question. Which type of drug would be used to increase the amount of red blood cells in the body? So this is Lance Armstrong in this picture, who won the Tour de France 7 times, but failed a lot of drugs tests along the way. Actually, didn't fail any tests, but later was found to have taken lots and lots of drugs. So there is one type of drug here that he would be able to do, would be able to take, which would make a massive, massive difference to his performance. However, it is illegal. So which drug is it? It increases the amount of red blood cells in the body. Okay, next question. And our final question in this round. So steroids are classified as which type of agents? You may have already seen this in one of the questions. So steroids are classified as which type of agents? Okay, so let's just have a look in the chat for those people who have answered some of the questions. We've had a couple of answers there that look correct. We've had one that is a bit of a guess, and I agree that James Madison is greater than Jack Grealish all day long. Thanks very much. Okay, so let's just go back through those questions to see how we have done. Okay, so in this question here, we've got our performance and arousal graph, okay, and the shape of it here is what we call the inverted U theory. So if you said inverted U, give yourselves 1 mark. Here we've got 2 ice hockey players who are in a fight, and which type of aggression is shown here? This is what we call direct aggression, because you are physically trying to harm another opponent. In this one, so this is the information processing model. Label the missing parts of the diagram. So we have input. We then got to make a decision based on all that information that we've taken in. We've then got an output, which is you doing the skill, and then we've got feedback. So all you need to write in those boxes is decision making, output, and feedback. So if you wrote those 3 things in the correct boxes, give yourselves 3 marks. Next question. So armbands are examples of which type of guidance? They are mechanical guidance. Okay, so what happened there is that you are being helped by something which is not necessarily part of you. It's something that is an external mechanical item, really. Okay, so this picture shows poor spectator behavior. What is this an example of? This is an example of hooliganism. So hooliganism is something that those people I teach will be studying probably at the start of year 11. But again, this is an example of it. If you've watched any movies like Green Street or The Football Factory and things like that, it shows hooliganism in those documentaries, in those films. So next one. Complete the table. So we've got performance enhancing drugs, we've got anabolic agents, we've got one positive effect that we need to know. Things like increased muscle size, increased muscle strength, increased power would be the reasons of why somebody would take an anabolic agent. The negative aspect, which is already on there, would be things like high blood pressure. Okay, round 3, technology. So next one in round 3. So technology is used in sport. Which piece of technology is shown in the picture? This is an example of Hawkeye. So Hawkeye is a system which they can use to help the referees to make the game fairer. And when it does, it tracks the ball. So it's also used in cricket for LBW decisions. So companies will pay to show their logos on football shirts. What's an example of? So I saw somebody in the chat, I think it was Alexis, said sponsorship, and that is absolutely correct. Increased reaction time, no, not for steroids, Ellie. So so anabolic agents, purely for the kind of power. It's what you guys think of as steroids, basically. Okay, so what type of drug would be used to increase the amount of red blood cells in the body? This is something called EPO. Okay, it stands for erythropoietin, but you don't necessarily need to be able to know that. It's EPO, and what that does for us is that it stimulates that natural response where we can have more red blood cells. Therefore, it's going to give you a lot more cardiovascular fitness and muscular endurance because of the oxygen supply. So steroids are classified as which type of agents? Well, they are anabolic agents, as you saw in one of the previous questions. So there you go. So out of 15, guys, let's see what you got. So just going through the chat again, just why there's that little lag between my stream and what you guys see. So we watched the Lance Armstrong documentary on the last day of school. Yeah, it's interesting that he got away with quite a lot for a very long time. United. I'm not sure which United that would be. Ellie, increased reaction time. I think we answered that one earlier. So Lil got 14 out of 15. Gurindi got 7 out of 15. That man's biceps are going to explode. Right. If you want to see something like that, there is something again linked to this idea that people using needles when they if they inject steroids can get lots of infections, and there is a documentary that is called "The Man Whose Biceps Exploded" because he got this big infection. It's horrendous. It's out of 15, Stan, because we had a few questions. Oh no, this might be right. Let me have a look. You might be right, Stan. Let's have a look. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Oh, you are right. Sorry, Stan. You are completely right, mate. So going back to that idea, then, if you want to watch it, it's called "The Man Whose Bicep Exploded." And essentially, he was just using whatever needle was around, and he was like stuck it in his bicep, got this horrible infection in his bicep, and then tried to sort it out himself. It didn't go very well. Okay, so round 4 is a bit different. Okay, so on Wednesday we did an emojis round. On today we're going to do a logo one. Okay, so here we go. So what you need to do in this one is that we've got 10 different logos from sports teams, from companies that are involved in sport, and some of the organisations that are responsible for sport. What we've got then is 11 to 20 on here, because I pulled it off of something else. Let's see what you can get. So if you do it in the chat, do it in the chat. Just make sure you put the number next to it so you can see what we're doing. And if you do it on paper, do it on paper. So we've got number 11, which is top left, and number 20, which is that one that is the blue and white one. So lots of people seem to be getting feeler for number 1. Alexis and Gurindi have both got Puma for number 12 on there. Again, some good answers in here. So for those of you who are in the live, thank you very much for watching. Anyone who's watching it later, again, you can still comment in the sections. I'll still pick those up. If there's any sort of topics that you want us to go through, then to go from there. Okay, so some good answers coming on. So most people got Fila. Number 12 was Puma. 13, as I was said in the chat, is the Tour de France. Number 14 is England Rugby. 15 is Liverpool Football Club. Number 16 is the Wimbledon Tennis Championships. 16 is Barcelona. 18 are the LA Lakers. 19 is Wilson. And number 20 is the Scottish RFU. So it's what is on the badge for this Scotland rugby team. So again, let's tot up what you got in total. So let's just go back. We had round 1, which had multiple choice. Okay, that was out of 10. We had round 2, which was out of 15. Round 3 which was out of 12, and round 4, which was out of 10. So in the comments, guys, let's see what you got and what grade you were going to get if you would have sat paper 2 today, but sadly it wasn't able to because schools are still shut. So Stan and Morgan both got 10s. Well done, guys. Gurindi also got 10. Sure, lots of you did. Sadly, this round is never going to be on your GCSEP paper. However, they are examples of how commercialization might be used so that we can try and make sure that it's going to be more popular because it's more visual. So we've got 10. Good to see that we've got a teacher on here and we've got a couple of students. And that is us, really. That was half an hour of just a quick quiz, really. So thank you for watching. Thanks for the support. If you don't already subscribe, guys, make sure that you do. Make sure you like and follow us on things like Instagram and also on Twitter. If you like those quizzes, follow us on Twitter. I'll repost some of the ones that I did earlier in the lockdown so that you guys can make sure that you can just keep cracking along. And in this time, which is difficult for everybody, that you are all staying safe. So year 10s, we will definitely see you before the end of term is what the government are telling us, and if not, we will hopefully load you with lots and lots of work over the summer so that you don't miss anything out, because you'll only got from September through till May when we come back. So well done, guys. Thanks for watching, and I will see you again very soon with an upload on Monday. See ya.